Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here on a hot take. We're going to talk about the Democratic primary in New Hampshire, right, little doggy? Doggy's cold, so I put her in the robe, and then we both get nice and toasty warm. The Democrats are in trouble, in case you haven't heard, like every video I made and then some, and all the pundits I watch. The interesting thing about this particular primary, New Hampshire, is Bernie Sanders won, but he won by very narrow margin and just barely. He also ended up with the same number of delegates that Pete Buttigieg won. The reason for that is not good for Bernie Sanders, at least according to the pundits I watch. I watch Sticks and Hammer 666. He lives in Vermont, and he follows politics very closely, a lot of the pollings. Basically, what he says is that a guy like Bernie should have won New Hampshire by a much wider margin. It should have been, well, the Sanders camp was hoping for a blowout, and they didn't get it. So this is actually not a great sign for Bernie Sanders. It's good that he won, but it's not a great sign for the long term because it indicates he has a very narrow appeal. And I agree with that. I mean, look, socialists make up the socialists and those left of socialism, like communists and anarchists and members of Antifa, or alleged members of Antifa, they only make up about 20 to 30% of the Democratic Party. So say 25%. So maybe 1 in 4 Democrats, voting Democrats, are these hard leftists. They support Bernie. That's why Bernie has a very loyal following. Who else are they going to support? Sticks and Hammer argues that they also support Elizabeth Warren because she's basically co-opted Bernie's platform. I kind of disagree. I think she has a completely different tone. I mean, yeah, she's sort of adopted the whole free college, free healthcare thing. But quite frankly, she comes off to me as someone who will literally promise and say anything to become president. Like, she's much more desperate and much more willing to just turn on a dime and just spout nonsense, essentially, and offer free stuff. And I think people sense that, and a lot of them don't believe her. I think most of Elizabeth Warren's fan base is rooted in people who wanted Hillary Clinton to run again and wanted Hillary Clinton as president. So I think it's a lot of women who felt Hillary got shafted the previous election, and then this is their Hillary 2.0. Yeah, maybe a handful of hard leftists that don't like Bernie think she's a little better, a little more pragmatic with her socialism. But I don't think she intends on doing one iota of the things she's promising. Not one. She would just not do it. And if she got called out, she'd blame anybody else in the room but herself. She'd blame Congress. She'd blame, everybody else. And that's the thing about Bernie Sanders, too. Even if socialists, I know this is hard to hear for you Bernie Sanders fan, even if by some miracle, and it would have to be a miracle, because that Bernie Sanders got elected president, it would be a miracle for him to win the Democratic primary because he only has 1 in 4 support. And that's it. He's not going to grow with that. You can't grow when you're that far left. There's just no place to go. The far leftists have been alienating the centrist and the regular Democrats for probably for the whole Trump term. The moderates tolerate you hard lefties. They tolerate you. But just barely, because they feel they need the numbers. Because when you look at left and right politics, one of the advantages of being a Democrat, allegedly, is you have the numbers. There are more working people, there are more immigrants, there are more poor people, basically, because Republicans tend to be more well-to-do, and or at least that's always been the trope. Republicans are for the rich, Democrats are for the working man. That's changed. People don't want to accept it. A lot of Democrats won't accept it, but that's changed. The Democrats have mostly abandoned the workers. They've abandoned them. They started doing that during the Clinton years. The trade deals that the Clintons pushed and that other Democrats pushed, the blue dog Democrats, benefited corporations. It did not benefit the workers. It mostly was strung together on the idea that we're going to have a ton of cheap labor in the United States. And we don't have cheap labor here. But if you have illegal immigrants and a flood of them willing to do the work, then you do have cheap labor. The problem with that is illegal immigrants are not supposed to be here. They're illegal. That's why they're illegal. They're in the country illegally. They're working for cheap. So the people who brought those illegal aliens here, the people who encouraged this, don't want to make them citizens, because if you make them citizens, then you have to pay them a living wage. And the whole point of bringing the immigrants here was to get cheap labor. It's the whole point. You can say, okay, well, we're going to offer you a living wage. Corporations are just not going to hire as many people. That's what they do. They cut jobs in order to make up for it. So ultimately, the strategy of the Democrats has always been this sort of hustle of, yeah, we're for the working man. But at the same time, they sell them out in order to, kowtow to rich donors and corporations and lobbyists and whatnot. But that's changed now, because now the Democrats have done that so much. They are the party of the corporations. They've pretty much abandoned working class people, because Hillary Clinton officially did it when, and again, this was a shocking email revelation in WikiLeaks. Bill Clinton, and this is, these are the Podesta emails. The various people in Hillary Clinton's campaign are going back and forth. And one of the exchanges is about how Hillary blew off the Catholic League dinner. And her husband, two-term president Bill Clinton, shoots her an email and says, Hillary, you cannot miss this dinner. This is an important dinner to Democrats. JFK went to it. Don't blow off this dinner. And this is the base of the party. These are blue-collar Catholics and a lot of blue-collar workers, basically. But, with a Catholic angle, because I think there was a bishop there. Her response is, it's just amazing. Her response is, this isn't our base anymore, in so many words. That's striking, because she's basically saying, screw these people. We don't need them. I have a better base. That is amazingly myopic, and I think it's the result of years of being in the spotlight, of years of hobnobbing with celebrities and rich people, and she just lost touch. She's lost touch. Not that she even really had that common touch, Hillary Clinton, but, Bill Clinton certainly did. Bill Clinton came from a poor upbringing, and he was like a regular guy for the most part. Say what you want about him. He was way more of a regular person than Hillary ever was. Hillary was very full of herself, always. Bill Clinton, you could just tell he's just a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. Even if he did some shenanigans, he's pretty funny. I defend him because and I can't help but like the guy. Hillary Clinton was just so unlikable. She was just kind of mean, and she got caught lying about things she didn't need to lie about. And more importantly, she was Secretary of State under Barack Obama, and she was terrible at it. She basically, cut a deal to get the gig in the first place. So it wasn't like she was super qualified to do it. She went to Pakistan, and this is before they found bin Laden there, and basically accused the Pakistanis of harboring him. Now, you could argue that, yeah, maybe the Pakistanis were harboring him. Let's imagine that that's true. And she knows that because, I don't know, her connections in the CIA or whatever. How stupid is it to go over there as America's #1 diplomat and accuse a foreign country of doing that, of hiding bin Laden, our most wanted terrorist at that time? It's just insane. So the Democrats have lost the thread on what's important to people and the party. And after Hillary was out, who's left? This is the dregs of the Democratic Party running for president. And out of that, the biggest fan base are the socialists because they've just been atomized. So if you're a socialist, you have to understand that you only make up 25% of the Democratic Party, right? So we're talking 1 in 4. In the general election, none of the Republicans will vote for a socialist. 0 will vote for a socialist. 0. There's not a single socialist in the Republican Party. Not in the right side at all. That's too far left. So there's no one who's going to vote for Bernie Sanders on the other side. You get 0 crossover. So all you have to win a general election is you must bring in all the Democrats. But all the Democrats don't agree with socialism. In fact, a lot of them hate it. The DNC is actively working to make sure Bernie does not get the nomination. There's a good chance he won't get it because most of his support is concentrated in urban areas and in places like New Hampshire and Vermont. So what is he going to do for Nevada? And do you think Bernie Sanders could win South Carolina, one of the most conservative states? No, because the entire state's conservative. Even the Democrats there are conservatives. More conservative leaning, I should say. So he can't win South Carolina. Like literally just can't win it. Probably can't win Florida. It's too far south. It's too conservative, older people. They don't want socialism. Who wants socialism? College students. These are mainly college students. These are people who don't really understand how much taxes they are already going to pay. They don't understand what things cost, and they don't care. Their parents pay for mostly everything, for a lot of them. And, socialism, they think, is going to be exactly the same as it is now, except you won't have certain bills. They'll just go away. You won't have to worry about health care. Oh, we won't have to worry about it. We'll have the same exact thing, except I won't have to worry about health care, and I won't have to worry about school loans. That money has to come from somewhere. Where does it come from? Well, it's not going to come from the rich. None of it's coming from the rich because the rich run the country. Jesus, dog. I don't know if you can hear my dog in the background. Sorry about that. These rich guys aren't going to pay. They're just not going to pay. Whether they have to hide their money or move out of the country or just call up the congressman they own and say, hey, I don't want to pay this. Make sure I don't pay. That's what's going to happen. So where's Bernie going to get the money for all his programs? Well, he's going to tax the middle class because they can't make that phone call. He's going to increase the debt. He's going to run up the debt by billions and billions of dollars. And we'll be in the same situation that the UK's in. The UK has the NHS, which works okay for them, except they're constantly short on staff and money. And each year it goes up and up and up, and their taxes go higher and higher and higher. Ask anyone who's a citizen in the UK and ask them about the taxes they pay. There's a reason why a lot of UK citizens, if they have any kind of money, will get a dual citizenship in the United States or just move to the United States. It's to save money. Ask the French millionaires. When the French kicked up their taxes, 10,000 millionaires moved out of France the year they announced it, and then 15,000 more moved out of France the year they enacted it. So you're not going to get that money. Nope. It's no way. And it's likely that you won't even get the programs because Congress will just say, no, we don't have the money. No, we're not backing it. What's in it for us? Yeah, the squad will back it. A handful of people around AOC, oh yeah, they'll enthusiastically jump up and down and back it. But again, that's only 25% of the Democrats. So the rest, you'll be against 75% of your own party won't back it, and the Republicans won't back it. They won't. But it's likely that Bernie's not going to win the nomination because of that. Once there is another candidate, and it looks like now it's going to be Pete Buttigieg, but who knows? I mean, I've made wrong predictions already. It just keeps changing and changing. Once there is a non-socialist candidate for the Democrats to rally behind, he's probably going to win. And if he doesn't win, he'll get close enough that the DNC will just point at him and go, no, that one. They're not going to let Bernie win. They're not. The DNC is a private organization, just like the RNC. And just like the RNC didn't want Ron Paul to win or have a brokered convention, they'll just change the rules. There's nothing illegal about that. They're not the government. They're a political party. So if they want to just say, you know what, we're not going to have a vote. We're just going to pick somebody. And this is your candidate. Suck it up. They can do that. It's not a damn thing anybody could do other than, get mad and quit the party. So that's likely to happen. I hate to tell you, socialist. And what you're going to end up with is maybe Pete Buttigieg, maybe Amy Klobuchar is now showing numbers. Who knows? It's probably not going to be Biden now. He's kind of embarrassed himself so much, and I don't think he really wants it. Could it be Elizabeth Warren? Maybe, but it seems doubtful at this point. I think it's a two-man race. At this point, it's Pete Buttigieg and Sanders. So, when Milwaukee burns, as one of the Bernie supporters threatened, it's not going to help a damn thing because it's just going to prove to everybody, that Antifa and these socialists are a real danger, and the Democrats should kick them out of the party and align their goals accordingly. Now, run this video too long. I have to do this in the next video, but so there's going to be a part two. A part two, we'll talk about Pete Buttigieg and his whole deal. But sorry, socialists, you're not going to win. You're not going to win the primary, most likely, unless something happens, and you're definitely not going to win the general election, especially not against Donald Trump. So wake up and stop being socialist, please.